Hi, today we're going to be talking about the left hand and how it works up and down the guitar neck. So to start, I want to first address what you want to look at. So normally, uh, when you're holding the guitar correctly, you'll recognize, is the head of the guitar too high? Is it too low? Is the guitar too far from my body or not? These are all important things to notice because they affect how your fingers work, starting from the shoulder. So I think that's the best place to start. From the shoulder, you want to make sure that it's even with your other one. You don't want to have it too popped out because of tension issues, or yeah, you just want to have a nice relaxed shoulder so that the whole arm will follow. And the next thing I want to talk about is your elbow. So your elbow usually will be more efficient if you have it pointed outward, away from your body, as opposed to tucked in to your torso, which causes tension in the body. Tension is that feeling where you might feel like, oh, this is a very hard movement on the guitar neck, and at that point you will start to get tension, and it'd be best to take a break for a few minutes until you're more relaxed to come back to it. So again, elbow pointed away from your body, and good. So we talked about the shoulder so far and the elbow. Next, I want to address the wrist. So what's so important about the wrist is you want to make sure that it's straight and never, jutted out, or, if you're grabbing something here, higher up the neck, it can actually curve in towards you. But I won't get to that right now. So again, you want to make sure the wrist is straight, it doesn't have any curvature at all, and the best way to get this correct is just to have the whole arm, starting from the shoulder to the elbow, relaxed. And now we'll talk about the grip on the neck. So the way I learned it was through a YouTube video, and I think the teacher was, what was the teacher's name? She teaches at Juilliard. I just cannot remember her name, but the YouTube video was really important to me because she's basically brought it down to the primal instinct. She used an example with using a gorilla, and so how would a gorilla grab at a branch? Like this, right? So we'll start with that motion, because in that swift motion, your whole arm is used, so it's a natural feeling. So now we'll begin to work on the grip. So your thumb, you should feel the neck just firmly pressing up against the side of your thumb. It shouldn't be directly up front, it should be just on the side. And if you start playing notes down here, then that's when you will feel it up against here, but we won't work on that position yet. Right now, you just want a nice first position technique and what that looks like. So again, you want to just have a nice relaxed arm, and using that example that I learned through YouTube, to just grab it really quickly and then just relax. And so your thumb is on the side up here, pressed firmly up against the neck. Now the fingers are just going to rest lightly here. So you're going to feel like when you apply pressure on your fingertips, the whole arm is just hanging. You can even swing it because it's secure. Also, what's important with fingers at this stage right now is that you keep them together. You want to make sure that your fingers aren't reaching far for things, because right now we're just trying to focus on the first position. And great, so just to quickly recap, we talked about questions we should ask ourselves. We talked about the shoulder, we talked about the elbow and the wrist and its relation to how it should look like. So it should be straight, and yeah, the grip with the thumb. So some important elements to that I might want to add later that are important are that you want to always be relaxed. You want to always feel like you can just swing your arm from this natural position, which, it's not even playing a note, it's not playing a chord. We haven't played a note yet. So this is why this is so important to understand first. A correct position to avoid injury in the future, or just to avoid playing sloppy. So next I want to move on to the fingers. So what you want to feel with the fingers is just enough pressure to push the string down and not digging in, because then that will actually begin to form calluses. And as a beginner, everybody who starts guitar goes through this. It begins to hurt their fingertips because the strings are very tough. Normally they're metal. When I started with a steel string, and I developed calluses really quickly because of it. So it's a bad thing until it becomes a good thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because now that I have calluses, I find it a lot easier to just hold the note down and feel like it's secure, because it's a string has been there for so long, and it's just a swift feeling. So once you have that sensation of just pressing down enough to get the note out, I want to show you what a bad note would sound like. So this is me pressing too hard isn't something that's going to affect the sound. It's something that's going to affect your muscles and your hands and your fingers and your tendons, because that causes tension. So some bad things that are noticeable in the music are if you play the note not next to the end of the fret. So right here I'm playing a C, and I want you to notice how the finger is placed just right before the fret, not in the center, nor up here close to the second fret. You'll get a buzzy sound, and I was applying enough pressure to get the tone out. And so this is why it's so important to play this C close to the C sharp. And it's important to start addressing notes early on, because it'll improve your musicianship as you take more lessons and develop a better technique. So we covered fingers are a big topic, they're very important, a lot goes into this. So we covered the grip, we talked about the thumb and how you should feel it just placed firmly on the side. We talked about finger pressure on the neck of the guitar just to get the sound out. Right, so I was going to show you what a bad sound is when you don't apply enough pressure. It's going to sound something like this. Just a damp string. And it's going to sound, what I mean by damp is there's no tone coming out. It's muted actually. A damp would be something like this, where the sound just cuts off when I'm doing that with the right hand. So moving on. Next, I want to talk about, I want to touch just lightly on finger independence, just so that you can feel comfortable moving the fingers in relation to the others. So, before I talk about finger independence, I want to mention the knuckles. So the knuckles are important because you want to make sure that they're parallel to the neck, at least parallel. Everybody's hands are different, so it may appear more parallel than others to some. But no matter what, you want to always feel like you're moving the finger from this knuckle here, the first knuckle of the hand. So it's going to look like you can just, like you're gripping, and that's what that looks like. So again, you want to keep, when you're playing, you want to keep your wrist straight and your fingers curved, but you want to feel the larger muscles. You want to work from the larger muscle, and that's found here in this first knuckle. The problem with working from this knuckle and this well, actually not that knuckle, this mid joint here, that's not a knuckle, it's a joint. From the mid joint is, it will feel like you're overexerting yourself, so you'll feel like you're beginning to get more tense, you'll have more tension issues, and it will inhibit finger independence. So what do I mean by finger independence? Finger independence, now that we understand how much pressure is needed and how to work from the large muscles, Finger independence is important because you'll start to see that when you play a scale, it'll sound more legato. So, right, what do I mean by legato? Just the notes are being connected together and it sounds smooth. So I want to play some examples for you. This is a C major scale, and that should just about cover how to work from the larger muscles, starting from the shoulder, all the way to the fingertips. Remembering everything we talked about from the elbow, the wrist, to the knuckles, down to when it comes down to playing the note. So here it goes. I'm going to play it first staccato, so not connected, and then legato. So what I wanted you to notice there is that as soon as one finger was done doing its job, the next finger was there ready to take over. Now I'm going to play it without staccato, without a staccato on the notes. So what I wanted you to notice there is that the notes were resonating with each other because I wasn't disconnecting the note I just finished playing from the last time. And so what you would hear in the music is that you're hearing two notes played at once, so that could create an overtone, which sounds really nice, and it could also sound like a chord. And so it's basically, yeah, that's all there is to the left hand. And oh, another important point that I want to mention before I end this lesson is that you want to make sure the fingers are, when you're playing, never doing this. So I'm doing this on purpose incorrectly to show you that this is a tense position, which will force you to buzz notes, to break legato phrasing, and that's not a good habit that you want to carry on as a guitar player. So yeah, that's the lesson.